Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Waters, and I am one of the acupuncturists here at CNY Fertility and CNY Healing Arts. Now, I am not sure that what you're seeing, this is my first time sharing slides with you in this way. So I hope it works out. I've got some great slides I want to share with you. Today, I wanted to talk just for a couple minutes about the difference between LED light, also known as photobiomodulation, and phototherapy, which is a little bit different. Now, if you can see me and you can see my throat, I have these phototherapy patches on here. Why did I stick them here? Because basically, I feel like I have started a new career in clearing my throat. That's another story. But, anyways, as a result of clearing my throat constantly, I decided to just take some of these phototherapy patches and apply them. The good news is they work. When you're using phototherapy patches, your body becomes the battery, and the patch is activated through that heat source of your body, and then biochemical changes occur. Okay. So here's this slide that I created a class for acupuncturists actually about how to use light therapy in the clinic. So these slides are from there. And just really quickly, there's a lot to learn in the field of light. It is a fascinating study. It's a huge body of knowledge. I highly recommend getting involved if you have any interest at all. It's been used for pain relief, for brain health, for all kinds of things. Now, this is a really important slide because you'll see all of these acronyms. If you do any searching, if you go to pubmed.gov and you put in LLLT, LED, PLT, you'll see this is what they all stand for. Low level light therapy is also low level laser therapy. Light emitting diodes. I could also add in there SLEDs, which is what we use here in the InLight system. They're called SLEDs, super luminous light emitting diodes. So all of this, the progressive pulse low level light therapy, photobiomodulation, these are all acronyms for the same thing. Okay. Pretty much everything here is the same thing. We can say light is light. Now, there's obviously a difference between the light of the sun and the light that you're going to be receiving from a device, but less of a difference than you may think. So, there's lots of different definitions of light. You can certainly look it up. So, what we say is that low level light therapy is photobiomodulation, which is light stimulating your biology. And what happens is it triggers the cells, the red blood cells and endothelial cells, to release nitric oxide. And that is what works as a vasodilator. So opening up the veins and capillaries so that you can increase your blood flow, which is how we decrease pain and decrease inflammation. So it's also good for stimulating your lymphatic system, and it's very detoxifying. The release of nitric oxide is considered an antibacterial, possibly an antiviral. It helps to decrease candida, things like that. It's not necessarily going to help you to eliminate things like heavy metals, but it certainly is going to, depending on the device you're using, get into the organ level so we can get your liver and kidneys functioning better. Yes, you can use LLT after an embryo transfer. The question is, where would you apply the pads? So we don't say post-transfer, you cannot use it over the uterus directly. Although I do believe very strongly that if we started doing that and we could, in a low-risk way, gather some data, I think that we would find that it absolutely would help implantation. Why? Because of angiogenesis, where we can actually, through the release of nitric oxide, form new capillaries. This is going to help implantation, absolutely. But the danger is if you've never done any detoxification or purification practices, it could be too much. So we don't want to put you into a detox mode, if that makes sense. A small lamp. Now, here's another, this is a good point. So, what is the difference between like LED and a lamp? A lot of acupuncturists use red light therapy in the form of a lamp, and also moxibustion is also a kind of red light therapy. They use that in the clinic, and that would be considered part of this sphere of light therapy. Absolutely. So, but other kinds of lamps, not necessarily, but if it has a thermal like effect in the tissue, is going to benefit you by increasing circulation. Definitely. I always like the spiritual aspect of everything. And so I do think of, everything begins with light, especially in embryo transfer. What happens when you're watching the ultrasound machine and that embryo is transferred? What do you see? A spark of light, which is life. And so it's part of why I feel very um confident that light therapy in particular has an affinity for fertility, because I really do believe that on a lot of levels. Light therapy has been practiced for thousands of years in Egypt, all over the world. I mean, in Iraq, this is really an interesting slide. He was the one that studied, I mean, look at this, 965 AD, um, physiological optics, and understanding how we are designed to receive light through our eyes. Any of you that have seasonal affective disorder know that if you're not receiving light through your eyes, you will begin to feel depressed. And what happens is that affects the glands in your head. This is endocrinology. If your hypothalamus is affected by a lack of light, this is absolutely going to throw the whole feedback loop off. So what happens is people that live in the tropics ask me all the time, well, I live in Honolulu. How could I become light deficient? Well, from wearing sunglasses all the time. So please try to get comfortable receiving light through your eyes as much as possible all year round. Okay. It's not that you never want to wear sunglasses, but at least part of the day, get comfortable receiving light. It really helps to balance everything out. There's lots of people that have studied light, a lot of physicians, a lot of researchers. The history goes way back. It is fascinating what they have done. There's this, the Dinshaw Health Society did a lot of research more on color therapy. So, color is frequency, frequency is light, and using different colors to affect things in the body. So red light would be more stimulating, blue light is more cooling and sedating. John Kellogg, some of you have probably heard about him. He was the founder of that cereal, the Kellogg cereal. Actually, he was a real health enthusiast and got very involved with the research in light. It's fascinating. And it goes on and on. This is current Dr. Spittler is an MD. He's also an optometrist, and he's written a couple books on how light actually balances out the autonomic nervous system, which is very similar to what we're doing in acupuncture, right? Especially when we're doing the ear points. A lot of folks that are coming for pre and post transfer treatments have never received acupuncture in their ears, even though they've received regular treatments. And that's interesting. I always use the ear points. I think they're really important. Why? Because the ear is an external aspect of the brain. Through the peripheral nervous system, we're actually able to access the brain. And why do we want to do that? Well, to make changes, especially of chronic pain, the endocrine system, but the nervous system in particular. We want you to go into rest and digest mode. It's like the body heals when you sleep, right? Yes, if you are really sleeping and you're not just still stuck in adrenaline dominance mode. So we have to be able to regulate your nervous system. So light does really a lot for that. Jacob Lieberman, he's still alive. He's written a lot of good books, really good, fascinating stuff. Peter Mandel's another one. This is a German physician. this is my interest really became how the body conducts lights through the acupuncture points in particular, and we were able to prove that yes, when you're using a pad-based system, wherever you put the pads, light is absorbed, but in particular, the light is absorbed through acupuncture points, and then that light is conducted. We can actually prove that the meridians exist through light. And so we really are light beings, we are energetic beings. And so light is absolutely a very effective way to make changes in the terrain, in the organ system of the whole body. This lady, she's one of my heroes. She got involved with using light in oncology. I think some of her stuff was really based on kind of enhancing the effectiveness of certain drugs like chemotherapy. There's a lot. The truth is, when you're taking supplements or whatever you're taking, when you apply light to the body, it's going to be more effective. You're enhancing the effectiveness of everything. Michael Hamlin, and I'm going to stop here in just a minute because I don't like to be too lectury. I think people get a little bored, maybe. If you really become interested in this field, this study, research him, put his name in to go to pubmed.gov and put in Michael Hamlin. He is one of my other heroes. He's done more research. It says here nearly 300 published articles. I think it's more like 500, honestly. He has studied light more than anyone else, all different systems. None of these folks are really connected to any manufacturing or any particular device. I think they're using a lot of different things. He's got some interviews on YouTube, really fascinating stuff of how can we make changes to the body in a simple way. So this is one of my favorite questions. What's the difference between near infrared and far infrared? Because a pad-based system is going to have the near infrared frequency in there. And I can tell you not that much on one level, but on another level, very big difference. So here we go. This is the entire electromagnetic spectrum. And we have here in the middle these colors. This is the visible spectrum. So this is the only area of the spectrum we can see color, right? We can see light. Just outside of that is the near infrared and far infrared. And then we have microwaves, radio waves, X-rays, all of these rays. We cannot see them, right? So it's just a little bit is part of the visible spectrum. A sauna is far infrared, so it's further away from the visible spectrum. And its primary purpose is to heat up the body from the inside out. So if you are interested in a sauna or doing any kind of sauna therapy, get a far infrared as opposed to Finnish. What's the difference? The Finnish sauna is heating up the air, so you warm up from the outside in. It can be slow, it can be uncomfortable if you're wearing jewelry that will start getting hot. Near infrared is going to penetrate into the depths of your core body and heat you up from the inside out, so you're sweating more quickly. Your jewelry does not heat up. Your phone will, though, I have to tell you. The phone, if you talk on the phone in the sauna, which I do, at some point just shuts off because it gets too hot. So that's better because we're using sauna therapy as a way to detoxify heavy metals and other chemicals that are affecting us. Highly recommended, especially in the winter, which is when we want to warm up more. Try to think of winter as the season to detoxify. Sit in there, heat up, sweat it out, start eliminating the stuff that you don't want. And you're going to feel better. It's a guarantee. Okay, so I could talk about this forever, but I have to go now. I apologize, but I will pick up where we left off. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for your interest in this subject, my favorite subject. And I will see you all again soon, sooner than you think.